Hello. Hopefully everything's working.
Hey.
Yes, audio is
Yeah.
working. Hello and welcome to episode 8. Help me out here. 8, right? It's 8.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's call it episode 8
You
regardless.
gotta say it with confidence.
You're telling me you lost count at 8 already?
Yes, this not taking much. Welcome to episode 8 of Zero Strategy. We hope you're well. Thank you for joining us in the live stream. We have a lot of fun things to talk about today. Today I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, first of all, Just Grog.
Hello.
We have the Mighty Kibbles.
Hey.
And we have our special guest for today, Pijinnn, Mr. Pijinnn.
What's happening, Trips?
What's up? So, lots of things to go over. First of all, if you haven't listened to this podcast before, we talk about Twitch and about content creation and about video games and anything else that we feel is relevant to that. If you happen to be watching in the live stream, twitch.tv/Zero Strategy Podcast, you can come and ask us questions. Just make sure to at one of us or at the podcast in the chat, and we will try and get to any questions. First thing I want to do, as we always do, is a brief catch up with everybody, find out what we've been playing, what we've been streaming, and what's been going on. So first of all, Kibbles, what have you been up to since the last show?
A whole bunch of Animal Crossing.
Oh yeah?
Yep, a whole bunch. I've been doing a lot of Warzone also, which has been huge fun.
Yeah, dude, I've been liking Warzone for sure. So have you been streaming Animal Crossing?
Nope. Just playing it off stream on the couch, like absorbing myself into it.
Just working off that debt to Tom Nook.
Yep.
Yep. Awesome. Grog, what have you been up to?
Kind of the same, just minus the Animal Crossing. I've been playing a lot of Warzone. I've been doing Apex, both on console and on PC. Took a step away from Destiny for a little bit. We're gonna do trials tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that. But it's just Destiny's just kind of in a funky place. And right now it's just, I don't know, kind of just like in a holding pattern. But things are good, and I'm enjoying all the gaming I'm getting in.
Good. Glad to hear it. So myself is much the same as yourself. Destiny's a little dry for me at the moment. Still playing at the weekends here and there. I've been playing off stream a decent bit, but on stream it's a lot of Warzone as well. Although after my shocking performance today, we'll see how much of that we're doing. But Warzone, I think, is in a good spot. It's for anyone that hasn't played it, it's obviously it's a battle royale, but it's got so many cool little features, like the gulag. If you die, you get a chance to 1v1, and if you win, you get to come back. So I think, like, for streaming as well, there's always a chance that you're going to come back into the game, which is really, really nice. I'm enjoying that. And yeah, I mean, as I say, apart from that, Destiny just here and there when I can face it. Well, perfect. That brings us to our guest this week, Mr. Pijinnn. So what have well, do you want to just give us a brief rundown, kind of what your history's like, how long you've been on Twitch, and all the other things, what you do on the internet?
Oh yeah, sure. Well, I actually started on Twitch last January, but it was quickly met with a hiatus because I moved flats in Glasgow and very quickly discovered my new place had terrible internet, good old copper wire.
Ugh,
So
lovely.
that plunged me into a big hiatus until February this year, where I discovered you can get 4G boxes that give you sort of pseudo broadband speeds.
Right. Okay.
So I was able to so I actually got back to Twitch literally at the end of February and haven't stopped really. Kind of back where I started.
Yeah, you've been on a lot, like, because I know I met you back when you originally started, and yeah, it was seen as more or less shortly after we met, that was when you kind of stopped streaming. But yeah, no, it's good to see you back. I didn't actually know you were on a 4G box. How's that working out? Is it quite stable?
It's so good, yeah. I mean, the speeds you get are pretty on point, and I've not had any kind of major issues since I got the box. So I totally rate it if you're like in the same sort of spot as me, where if you've got like an old copper wire connection to your place, it does the job.
Dude,
And it's honestly,
awesome.
it's literally put me back where I wanted to be with the whole Twitch scene and streaming the games and stuff. So
Heck yeah, yeah. I've seen you've been on a lot lately. So what's your sort of main games on stream? What would you say your main stuff is?
well, for those that don't know, I do actually play Destiny quite a lot, although it's on PS4 at the moment. Um, I recently played Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I'm head over heels for.
Yeah,
Um, it's honestly it's nostalgia mixed with just total love of the franchise. Um, so I'm probably going to plunge a good few hours into that this week, the rest of the weekend and stuff.
awesome. See, I never played the old Final Fantasies, so it's the nostalgia's not there for me. But I'm seeing a lot of people really enjoying that game, so I'm glad to see people are into it.
Yeah, it's getting. I'm glad it got good reviews. Like it was one of those ones where if it didn't hit the mark, it would have like jeopardized like future projects. I'd say.
Yeah, because it's episodic, right? So there's gonna be more coming out for it. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, like they're going
Yeah,
to
two-part.
spin like a longer story for the whole thing. I mean, I've put like 12 hours in, and it's already so deep. Like what they've done with the storytelling, and then the game. Like that's not even talking about the gameplay.
Sure. That's awesome. And how have you found switching from a game like Destiny, which is obviously very multiplayer focused, playing with people, quite fast paced, to then switching to Final Fantasy, which I assume's, I know it's like single player, but I assume it's a bit slower, more sort of RPG style.
Yeah, totally. Like it's so much more relaxing, especially for streaming. You can just sit, enjoy the cinematics, all the dialogue, get involved in the story, and there's not a lot of forward planning for it. You're just like you log in, you're going to experience that story, that excitement, rather than well in Destiny where you do make your own choices of what you want to do.
Yeah, for sure.
I imagine it gives you a lot of latitude as well for like having conversation with chat. You know, like
Oh yeah, definitely.
you can decide the pace at which you progress. You know, in terms of like carrying on the stream, whether you want
Oh
to
yeah.
like just take a moment to kind of like do a pseudo just chatting for a few minutes or like kind of just do it between rounds.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things I did already was you're faced with all these wee side quests, and I'm the kind of person that does want to gloss over that stuff. I want the completionist factor. So already, I'm sure I plunged about 4 hours into like the initial side quests, and then got back to the story, and that on its own just gives you that wee segue to just like you said, you can just sit with chat and go, I'm doing stupid shit right now. Do you want to like let's just chat?
yeah, have a conversation for sure. I recently finally finished Death Stranding on stream, and that was like similar, like you say, it was about a lot more relaxing. I could just kind of go live and, like you say, watch cutscenes. I mean, that game, the last 2 hours is pretty much one big cutscene. It was just like watching a movie with chat, which was great. But the problem I had was that I kept on pausing the cutscenes to have a conversation, totally ruin all the build up of tension. I'd be like, right, guys, remember where we were? This guy was about to like shoot someone, or I don't know, unpause, and then yeah. So definitely not something I'm used to. I was definitely still in the mindset of like between rounds of PvP, sit and have a conversation and then jump into the next game. So definitely a different style. But I enjoyed the heck out of a nice single player game. I need to find another one to dive into. Well, that's cool. Well, what I want to do is talk about. So the first topic I want to go into is kind of social media, how to do it right, how to build a following, how to be effective on social media, and just kind of the best ways to use it as opposed to the bad ways to, or not bad ways, but the less effective ways to use social media. I'm no expert at all by any means, but I feel like we can hopefully come up with some tips as a group here. We have talked about this before a little bit, but I feel
we
like we
touched
can.
on TikTok before, as
Right.
means to reach out.
Exactly, and I want to get into all that stuff. But so the reason I wanted to talk about this, I know Pijinnn is quite the Twitter guy. Right? I see a lot of his tweets go viral. I've seen a lot of interaction on your Twitter, and I kind of wonder. I know. So in my head, right, I'm thinking. I know you'd had to take that break from streaming, and I feel like, from my point of view, I feel like you focused really hard onto that social media and building that community there, and then are now kind of having that on the side with your stream as well. So was that your goal when you had to take a break from streaming, or has that just happened naturally?
It absolutely was, man. Like as soon as I found out my internet was rubbish, I was like, I'm just going to pour myself into the Twitter scene with, well, in particular, the Destiny community, which to that point in time, I hadn't really known there was a whole Twitter scene.
Yeah.
Most of the community I saw was on Reddit and like YouTube. So I don't even know what happened. It just clicked with me to just go straight into Twitter and start engaging with like-minded people. They've got a Destiny profile pic. Let's see who they are, what they do, what they
Mm,
play on, and it very quickly it just totally steamrolled from there. Like following people, but then seeing their posts about Destiny and then sharing opinions and stuff. And before I knew it, I had more and more people following us each day. I would follow them back, and you start recognizing these people. It doesn't just become like a faceless name in your feed. That someone you go, oh, they're like commentating in this, something to do with the game, and you end up you get a rapport with them, and
mm,
before you know it, you've got community, you've got discussion, and it's all as long as it's like forward thinking. I mean, you definitely come across some interesting characters along the way where they're a bit colourful in how they express themselves.
for sure. Yeah.
Um, so definitely had my ups and downs with that as well.
I
But
mean, what do you,
again, that sorry, Grog.
oh, I was gonna say, like, what are your thoughts on? It sounds like you have kind of like you take an amicable, sort of friendly approach towards like engaging other people on Twitter. But like,
Yeah,
what are your thoughts on, the successes of those people who do choose to be polarizing? Like, I mean, I guess whether we like it or not, we just have to do our work with the ball. Now, whether we like it or not,
touche.
it's still attention.
Mhm.
Like those people who
Yeah.
are sort of blowhards and really bombastic. Sometimes that's all on purpose just to be seen. I
Oh
guess
yeah.
I'm kind of wondering, like, what your thoughts are, or I guess everyone's thoughts are on like being a presence for good or for worse, that is either infamous or famous, because of either you're really friendly or you're just like really like polarizing.
Yeah. Again, that you're totally right when you say that it works for some people, and I think that comes down to their kind of charisma and their character, and how they put those points across. Like that's not to say I've not had my ranty moments where I've just something's just really got to me, and I'm just like, oh, rant.
Yeah.
But I always tend to, for me, my characteristic is I would go full circle and I would kind of probe what I just said and go, was that the right way to put that? And I could probably be more constructive next time. But yeah, some people with the extremities, they get away with it because that's what you associate with them. So I guess when you're consuming content and you're going through Twitter, any socials for that matter, someone will have that to give as their element for, well, that platform.
I mean, I think the thing is, particularly with the Destiny side of the Twitter community, there is a lot of negativity often, and I feel like
Yeah,
it's tough because it's particularly with Destiny, it's one of those games that I feel like people love it so much, and then when they're unhappy with it, those opinions come out um, a lot more. I know
yeah,
recently my Twitter is just a wall of people complaining, which I really I can understand a lot of those tweets, but it's hard to kind of keep that positivity when so many people are like that. I mean, I was watching a streamer right before the show here who literally had a command set up to say, I'm not going to talk about Destiny. I'm not going to talk about balance or the future or any of this. I'm just going to play the game and have fun. And it's like, I feel that, as a streamer, you probably know this as well, Pitch, for with Destiny particularly.
yeah,
When someone comes in and they're like, "Oh, I hate this, blah blah blah," it's so hard to keep positive when
yeah,
someone's just
definitely.
having that negative side of you just constantly. And I believe a lot of the time it comes from a good place of I just want the game to be better. But it's tough to keep that positive attitude. So I mean, and again, I don't really see that from you on Twitter at all. It's always kind of light positive
Yeah,
things. So well done for that for sure. Um,
definitely. Like one of the things I did mention was like when you're streaming these games, you're heavily dependent on its content cycle,
mm,
and if that content cycle fails, then you're pushed for what you're going to do, and that's it's like hard enough if you're playing it 10, 12 hours a day. Like I know some of us definitely could pull off, um, but when it becomes their job and they're trying to see the best of it, but they know deep down it's a struggle. So yeah, taking to Twitter and stuff's definitely been a platform to do that sort of discussion on and talk about the content cycle. And again, that depends who you actually follow and surround yourself with. Like that can be quite biased. So definitely need to watch out for that when you're finding people. Like you said, Grog, like the polarized kind of opinions can actually be good because it gives you that second that opposite sort of like point of view that you might not see because again algorithms are a thing and you've got people it becomes like kind of a circle jerk where you're all agreeing at the same thing and it's like right so we must be right whereas
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
definitely good to find those counter opinions.
Yeah.
But I also think that like it depending on the game, because although I think we've all played Destiny at one point. Some of us currently, some of us in the past. Like regardless of what the game is, I think some franchises are just more memeable than others too, and like part of that I think can sometimes this um this inclination to lampoon or poke fun of or make fun of like a franchise I think can sometimes make it easier to skew into negativity quickly, and that may not always be the case, but like I don't know, like Destiny for example is highly memeable. There's just between quotes and pictures and characters, and it just has this long like lineage of fans and history surrounding the games that like people can use that to just kind of pull it apart. um, but
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean I do to completely take your point, and it's sorry, people in chat. I've got Grog as loud as we can have him. Same with everybody at 200%. So hopefully, just turn your speakers up. I can hear him okay in mine. So as I say, hopefully it should be good. But we're as loud as possible. Yeah, what I was gonna say the Twitter side of things, just to kind of go back to the strategy regarding that, when you were kind of throwing yourself in Twitter, Pigeon, did you have a kind of, okay, I want to put out X amount of tweets today, or did you take it as let's just kind of whatever I think of is going out there? Like Kibbles has mentioned in the past, his strategy for Twitter is kind of stream of consciousness, just
yeah.
and some of the things I see Kibbles tweet is questionable. But it's you do better than me. Like my Twitter is barren a lot of the time. I just don't tweet because I think like I second guess myself. I'm like, this tweet isn't funny, I'm just not going to bother. Or I think, well, maybe this is too much of a hot take, I shouldn't do it, I don't want any drama. Like, what was did you kind of have a plan for that, or were you just kind of taking it as it goes?
So originally, obviously, it started out as a personal Twitter account, and I instantly like fell for Twitter when I got it because I have countless thoughts on it on the daily. So being able to like microblog was like great for me as a person. But when I started the sort of Destiny commentary, I never really thought about if I was going to put X amount of tweets out each day. It just became quite topical. It became maybe sharing screenshots and then talking about in-game things, and then it went from there. And I realised there was like a sort of crossroads. Do I keep this as a personal account, or do I set up a separate account to like be the Destiny side of things, or
Okay.
in this case the Twitch side of things? And I was one of my friends that literally said it. It says just do what you want to do with it. So I post my sort of personal things as well on it, like what I'm getting up to and flipping pictures of my dinner or whatever, like typical like humane
Social
things.
media
And
things.
I actually think that's better for you when you are constructing like a network, is to show your like your humanity to the like your community, rather than just I'm going to talk hard facts about the game. I can sit and go, oh, I'm getting up to this tonight. Oh, look at this.
Yeah, I mean,
Again, that's subjective. Like that's a crossroads that you might face. Am I going to have a branded side of things, or just going to be a mixture of the two as well?
yeah, I 100% agree. And a lot of the time, if you are, trying to be a content creator or streamer, then you are your brand. So having that personal thing we all know that on Twitch, that's the main draw for a lot of people, is the personality of the streamer, the broadcaster, the creator. So having that Twitter be just your personal Twitter, to me was always kind of the way I wanted to do. And yeah, I mean, I understand in some circumstances where you may want to have a separate account for, if it is a heavily branded thing that's not directly related to you. Like we've got a separate podcast Twitter, for example, and I'm not going to tweet out like pictures of my dinner on that account, But for everything else, yeah, I mean, I would always want to have it on the one. Do you have any experience with any other social medias at all? Like, do you spend most of your time on Twitter? Is there other accounts that you use for other things, or kind of what's your how do you deal with that?
Well, I'm actually one that I think gets overlooked quite a lot is Discord. I feel I started out with Discord. I had zero clue what I was doing with it. I actually deleted it because I hated the notification sort of thing, like beeping off every 2 seconds. But I must have came back to it a few months later, and I set up my first ever server myself, and very quickly realised that it's such a powerful tool for gaming and networking and general kind of hanging about. More Discord servers you get in, obviously, it gets quite saturated. But
yes,
again, if you like build up that properly and make it a place that people enjoy visiting, then like people start talking like mad in it, and it becomes like the way you talk to people on Messenger and stuff. Like I don't know for some of your accounts, but I've been in Discords where they've got a general chat section and people are just chatting away, talking about their day. And I think that gets overlooked a lot because that Discord's tied to a streamer, per se, or content creator in general. And if they're in that server having a great time with that community, they're going to want to come and hang in your streams. They're going to want to watch your YouTube videos. They're going to want to do all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think Discord definitely gets overlooked, and it's such a powerful tool, especially if you set up and find the right community to like fill those pages.
Absolutely, we preach Discord a lot in here. Kibble's like, what's your? Because I know you've got obviously your own Discord server, and I put a lot of work into it. What's your kind of thoughts on using Discord as a social media in a way?
Kind of,
or even just the importance of Discord.
Oh yeah, no, it's great because you can connect with your community in a way that you couldn't really on other ways. Because like Pijinnn says, it's more like instant messenger in a lot of ways. So instead of just having a quick conversation on a certain topic on Twitter or talking on Twitch, just you can talk about whatever you want in Discord.
Yeah.
It's nice. Or you can just go, oh, I found this funny thing or this interesting thing, and then just dump it in there.
For sure.
Find a lot of neat things that people post in there.
I always think Discord is for the kind of more central members of your community, right? Like, again, I'm looking at it from the point of view of a content creator. If somebody's going to come in and, they may follow my channel, that's cool. They may come back, they may not. They may pop in every so often. And then you've got the people that are going to follow your channel and be in your Discord. And they're the people that really want to connect with that community more and being able to chat in there off stream, and be part of the without sounding cheesy, like the family, right? Because then they've got access to speak to these people anytime they want. And I think when I started the Discord, it was a huge kind of stepping stone for me personally. And I think it's crazy. Like, I'm bad at Discord. I'm in, as Pidge referenced, I'm in tons of Discords, and I have so many notifications. It would make anyone sick to see my Discord notifications. And I'm the sort of person that will clear out my emails every day. Like, my wife opened her email, she's got like 2,000 unread emails. Like, it drives me crazy. But Discord, I gave up a long time ago. Like, there's no way I can keep up with it. And even now, when I'm playing with a friend and it's like, oh, we'll use your server, I'm like, okay, where, open the folder. Is it in this one? Like, where is it? Because there's so many. But I do think focusing in on one or two specific communities is a huge way to build friendships and build connections. And we use Discord for everything. We're using it right now for this call. I use it to arrange streams with other people I want to play games with, to set up community nights, to talk to designers or video editors. I use it for everything. It is the most versatile tool. It has its issues, yes, but to me, I think it is just you need to have one, right? You need to have a Discord if you are trying to grow a community or a brand or something like that. Have any of you guys messed? I know me and Grog talked about it a little. Messed with the new audio features that they just added. The one that cuts out on background noise.
Crisp.
Oh no!
They
just
I was
added
looking
this.
around yesterday when I was trying to figure something out. But
Yeah, so-
I have
so-
messed around with attenuation a little bit.
Yeah, so Discord just recently, there's an update, I think, this past week that included, I guess they appropriated a company called Crisp, and it uses machine learning to, in essence, try to separate human speech from all other sounds. And so, in addition to the noise suppression, then there's also this noise reduction. And if you activate that, it's using this kind of like machine-driven AI to try to figure out what the best sound is. Now it's new, so it's unclear if it learns you through time or if it's just learning everyone, and then over the time it'll just keep getting better and better.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it sounds very fancy and it sounds very clever, but I don't like it. I hate it. As someone was just pointing out in chat, it's we tested it a little bit today, and
Robotic.
it's a little robotic. I feel like it muffles the voice of the person talking as well. And obviously, it won't affect you if you're streaming, right? Whatever's in Discord is only affecting the other people you're talking to in Discord, right? So it doesn't affect your stream, but it might affect someone else's stream if you're playing with them. And we tested it today, and I just kind of said, right, okay, I'm gonna switch it on now, and immediately everyone was like, oh god, no, turn it off, like because it doesn't sound horrible, but I feel like it sounds worse, if that makes sense. Maybe, and I don't know how deep I'm thinking about this, but we said obviously machine learning, and maybe it gets better over time. You need to have it on for longer for it to identify these things. I don't know how it works. I'm not a scientist, but maybe it's one of these things that just gets better over time. But for the time being, I'm not going to be using it. So sorry to anyone that I'm playing with. If I want to eat a packet of crisps, you're gonna have to hear it while we're playing. So obviously we agree. Discord, big for like building community. Twitter, kind of same situation, right? What do so like, Pijinnn, when you go live on stream? Oh, I'm getting an echo. Anyone else hear that?
Yeah.
Someone
That
go to
might be
streamer
me.
mute. Oh my goodness, Grog, you're so loud now.
Oh hey.
Oh,
That makes
something
sense.
happened. Let me fix.
It's coming in hot now.
Right. Anybody watching live, give me
Was
just
it-
a second.
Was it picking up your webcam, Mike?
Perhaps.
Okay.
Ah,
That is much better. Okay, beautiful.
echo.
Hopefully that's a little better now. Right, we're back. Yeah, so Twitter, when you post, like for example, I think all of us do the same. When you go live, you post a tweet with your Twitch link and stuff, right? Anybody kind of want to jump in on how to do that? How to make a better tweet? What's a bad going live tweet and what's a good going live tweet? I feel like
I think
Gron's
using
saying it too
boilerplate
loud.
is bad.
Right, hang on, I'm gonna turn you down a little more.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
You're in my brain, dude.
Right, do you want to repeat that? I missed what you said.
I think like having a boilerplate can be bad. I have a stock standard boilerplate that like if sometimes if I'm like 20 minutes before I'm live, like I actually want to post a meteor tweet, like I have the time to compose something, or I really want to I don't know, like it's just in that moment that's where I'm going to put the bulk of it, and then it's like, hey, look for me in a half hour, I'll be posting that I'm going live. Then I feel like it's fine to just like post something like, hey, I'm live playing blah blah blah. But I think generally like having the same graphic or the exact same phrasing can be rough every single time, because it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like you're putting in the effort. It just feels, I don't know, falls kind of flat.
For sure.
And I know we've,
Sorry, go ahead, Kibbles. You were about to say something.
And I know we've talked about it before, but I think Cyber was the one that brought it up. Where if you put a picture or a video along with it with your link, it'll get picked up better to more people. If as opposed to just putting some text and a link, not a lot of people are going to be seeing it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
The way that Twitter works.
that's
Absolutely.
something I've experimented with. I've like posted various like selfies, if you will, pre-stream selfies. Like, look, here I am. This is literally me right now. But looking at other content creators, I think one of my favorite things has been custom gifs. I think they really go a long way,
Yeah.
Okay.
especially because you can use like clips from your streams, like funny moments, goofy moments, whatever. It could be anything, and that's something you can evolve because it's like you're going live, you post your GIF, and then the next time you're live, you have a completely different GIF of something that happened on the last stream. I think that's quite engaging because people can go, oh, what were they up to this time? Oh, I missed that stream. Oh, so that's what happened. Like, there's a wee brief insight to what happened.
Sure.
So I think those go a long way. But yeah, definitely doing the whole sort of what was it, boiling pot
Like
approach
a
as well.
boilerplate, like just a stock standard. Like it's matching a formula. You know what I mean? Like you just
Yeah,
have a script and you're just sticking to that script and only changing like a couple words here and there per stream.
Or a bot that just does your tweets.
Yeah.
That's what I
yeah.
was about to
I
say.
was gonna
I,
say.
I used to have a button on my stream deck that I would hit and it would auto tweet for me and it had a template. Worst thing I've ever done. I'm so glad I stopped doing that.
Yeah. So you need to. It's definitely one of those things you need to figure what works, what gets the clicks. And like I said, I think personally having some sort of clip in a GIF format goes a long way. Um, it could even be a channel trailer as well. For people to see.
Mm.
You
I mean,
could
the
go
nice
live.
thing about a
But
GIF
don't.
too is that it autoplays, and it's gonna keep
Mhm.
auto
Yeah,
playing. So if they linger to like read the message, they're
it's
being
there and
engaged
it's
on a regular
happening.
basis. Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Absolutely.
seeing it. So my strategy for a while was to post a really bad joke when I went live, and I'll say that was some of the fastest growth I ever had on Twitter, and I actually was getting direct clicks to my stream. Most of it was people coming in to tell me they hate me because that joke was so bad. But I think that's the only time where I can say for a fact someone's come into the stream and said I had to come in here and tell you that I hate that joke. But here's a follow. I got a laugh out of it, whatever, right? I don't think that's ever happened to me in any other circumstance. The only reason I stopped doing that is because I just couldn't keep thinking of jokes every day, and like I was like, some of these are too bad.
Thinking of jokes.
But what I've done recently and what I've been doing is I will just, before I go live, I'll look at what clips have happened on the stream in the last 24 hours, find a good one, chuck it on Twitter, right? And we talked about it before with posting clips. You know, don't post the link to the clip because then they have to click it and go through all these other steps. Just upload the video, right? If you're on a PC, it takes 2 seconds to download a clip, upload it to Twitter. You know, like we said with GIFs, it auto plays. It works better. People are more likely to watch it. But I think that, you know, like we're saying, just text, it's not gonna catch the eyes. I don't know if any of you have ever kind of. So I had somebody follow me the other day. I can't remember the name, so I'm not throwing shade at anyone, right? But someone followed me. I clicked on the profile, streamer, and I was like, okay, cool. And I scrolled through, and they had nothing but going live tweets. Every single tweet was the same, and there was no pictures, no videos, just I'm live, link, right? Terrible way to do things, in my opinion, right? That's what's the value of following that person's Twitter? You know, I want to get a little bit more. Maybe if you just want it, if you're just there to be notified when they go live, then fine. But to me, that's not a good way to run it. You know, you need to have interesting content on there, just like you need to have interesting content on your stream or your YouTube or whatever, right?
Well, and as much as it makes me sad to say this as a librarian, people just really aren't into reading much anymore.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you have something that is visually engaging, be it a clip, be it a montage, be it just, you know, like a funny GIF that it maybe is not yours, but just accompanies like a brief, you know, witty remark that you like have thrown in there to let people know that you're going live, or just a reaction to the stream you just had. Like anything that's a visual component is going to catch the eye. Honestly, sometimes the more bombastic the image, the better, because people are just going to like stop their scrolling and be like, what the fuck is that? I have
Yeah.
to see what this is about. I mean, like whenever I am scrolling through and I see Kibbles's like his going live things, I have to stop because they're so fucking bizarre that how can I not?
Yeah.
Like, you know, sometimes he's just shouting at me and he's got a knife, or like, you know, it's I think it's like it's almost like the Joe Exotic effect, right? Like it is the train wreck you can't help but look at. And if you
no offense, Kibbles.
no offense.
No.
I mean, he's smiling because he knows it's a compliment.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of those things where you need, I mean, how because at the end of the day, like forgetting Twitter even for a second, be it TikTok, be it Facebook, Twitter, any other messaging service, like how are you going to get people to stop and pay attention to you over everything else? I mean, we're saturated with media. They're following their own friends. You know, sometimes you're showing up in people's feeds because like a friend of a friend liked it. You know, so sometimes people don't even have to be following you to see it. So if you can get your own friends to even like it, and I don't mean like tell all your friends to go like all your shit, but I mean like
if you don't go and like this,
Oh, I've been doing it wrong.
if people are genuinely interested in what you're doing and they like it, other people will see it too, even if they're not following you. And that's, you know, the algorithms are smart enough to know that usually you're a few degrees apart from people that you share a lot of commonalities with. So if you can engage not only the people that you don't know, but the people you do know, there's a good chance that maybe some of that will filter through at some point. And I think like having a visual component is really, really crucial. Because if even if it was a unique text, like letters and words every single time, but no images through an entire feed, people aren't going to keep scrolling forever. Like they're just not.
Yeah.
Sadly.
The nature of it is very much just scroll. That's all. It's the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning. Yeah, I open Twitter and I just scroll through it, and I'll stop if something catches my eye. That's you've got to always be thinking about what is going to catch someone's eye. You know, I think that's the main thing.
It's a total like cultural thing from like meme consumption. Memes are so like it's like a hit of dopamine. It's like aha, and then that's it. You've taken that hit, and that meme is no longer going to. Yeah, obviously there's like classic stuff that you'll always come back and have a laugh at, and you'll share about. But see, every time that's shared about, you've seen it all, and that's where the consumption factor comes in. People want the next thing to see and like take in.
Exactly. Short attention span. That's it. You have to keep the momentum going and keep people entertained with that. I feel like I had other questions on Twitter specifically, but does anyone else use any other forms of social media other than Discord or Twitter? Again, with I guess a focus of growing a community, growing, you know, because ultimately, I mean, my goal is social media, build that community, but try and get them into the stream, right? Or try and get them into the YouTube channel to see some of that content. I mean, Instagram I don't use, for example. Any of you guys Instagram fans at all?
I've kind of dabbled with Instagram.
I am a fan of it, but just for personal reasons, I don't like do any of my game related stuff there. I mean, it's at the end of the day, I think that if it depends on what you want out of your stream. If you really want to connect with people, in respect to your gaming interests, then you really need to be where those people are already congregating. You know, I mean, it just doesn't, you know, it's like if you're trying to advertise to doctors, you're not going to go down to the local Chipotle Mexican restaurant and like advertise. Like it doesn't make sense. You'd go outside a hospital. Like, so if wherever the gamers are, that's where you should be if that's the focus. But if you're, I mean, I could see that if you like Twitch has such a big connection with gaming, but if you were like someone who is on Twitch and you're doing Twitch things, or you're doing like live original music, or you're a visual artist, like then maybe you should be advertising and like networking on like DeviantArt, or like you should be on ArtStation, or you should be on, you know what I mean, like whatever it is, that's what you should be doing. So if there's a sandbox for you to engage people based on what your stream is, that's where you should chase. So if all the Destiny fans are on Twitter, it makes sense to network there, but if you're really into friend of the stream, Dolly, like he does video editing. I'm sure that there are forums and GitHubs that you can come together and like talk about that shit. That's probably where you want to be, right? Because you're going to
Mm.
attract all the other nerds. I mean, you can just say, "Here's my Twitch link. Come follow me," because you're not necessarily trying to attract a gamer if that's not your specialty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've attempted the Instagram thing, and like I'm making this joke about posting photos of your dinner, but I could easily cut like the state of my Instagram just now. It's almost all personal. So if I uploaded a Twitch related thing, I could see maybe two hits on it maybe. Whereas if I post my flipping dinner, it could be 30 plus because people that's what I've used that to kind of show myself. So that's something you can react to quickly as well. And it's like you said, Grog, like you congregate in these places and you'll see the returns on those like people coming back, and that's when you slip them a link to your main platform that you're trying to grow.
For sure.
Hey, check this out.
The old bait and switch.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And like for my limited experience of Instagram was I would post a clip from the stream, I would put a few hashtags, and I would immediately get just bots liking and following, free Fortnite V-Bucks accounts, all this stuff. And it just I gave up, and I'm a big believer in just like reusing your content, recycling your content. So you have a good stream, you maybe get a few good clips out of that stream, post them on Twitter, post them on TikTok, post them on Instagram. And I just cut Instagram out completely now, and I just don't, I straight up don't use it anymore. I know that people love it, right? My wife is always on Instagram looking at stuff, right? But again, I feel like the gaming content isn't maybe there like it perhaps used to be. I don't know if it is now. TikTok is one for me where I felt like there was a lot of gaming content on there, and I still feel like there is, but maybe like the Destiny, because there was I felt there was a strong Destiny community on TikTok. I mean, I follow a guy on TikTok who just all his videos are done in a full Lord Shaxx cosplay, right? And I follow this guy who does completely non-Destiny related things, but just in a full Lord Shaxx costume, and it's goddamn hilarious, right? And like, there is that community on TikTok for Destiny content, but like right now I'm noticing there's a big trend of memes of Call of Duty Warzone, with the Gulag in particular. Big trend in memes on there. So I feel like that's maybe somewhere you should be posting Call of Duty clips, because maybe that's going to get some traction on there. I mean, I know Kibbles has had at least one, maybe more, video kind of pick up on TikTok and go huge. I mean, you had a Minecraft clip that went insane, right? Like, and that was because Minecraft was popping back then, right?
Yeah.
And you got in there at the right time.
If you would post Animal Crossing stuff right now, I'm sure it would, because there's a lot of even just literally filmed at like a camera facing the Switch, something like that, and it'll show up on my For You page. It's like, holy crap!
It doesn't have to be high effort,
because there's so many stupid things that happen in that game, and tarantulas just want your soul. So that's a takeaway there.
But yeah, I think that's a big one, and I keep saying it, and I will keep saying it. If you're trying to grow a stream or a YouTube channel, whatever, you can't ignore TikTok. There's just millions of eyes on TikTok, and I've found YouTubers that I now watch on YouTube because I saw a couple small clips on TikTok that I thought were hilarious, and I went and found their channel, which is right there. I can just click on their profile straight to their YouTube channel, and now I'm going to watch their full videos. I've seen people do the same on mine, where they like a clip and they come over and will watch a YouTube video, right? Like, it's I think very, very powerful, but you have to know where the trends are,
Well,
Getting a
and one thing I just want to tack on there, when you mentioned hashtags, like I used to add hashtags to things, I don't anymore. Which actually is funny because, like, I mean, fundamentally, hashtags are a really cool way to handle metadata, but the problem is that they've become synonymous, at least within certain social media, like forums, as like this low effort like bandwagony kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it is irritating because sometimes like when you have a really important topic or you have something that is on brand on a theme, like hitting it with a hashtag fundamentally should be a good thing. It means that you're gonna like do an aggregate search and get all of those things in one broad sweep. But it is it's demonized, and or not demonized, but it's looked down upon in some places. It's almost like putting, TTV in your, like screen
Hashtag
name.
support small streamers.
Right. And like it just becomes a joke in of itself sometimes, and or it just looks low effort. And I think like hashtags should be used sparingly. Um I also think that like you also have to know the social media forum that you're trying to like um rub shoulders with, and like realize whether it is or isn't a place for self-promotion. Reddit is not a good place for self-promotion.
No.
Like you will be shit like you will be downvoted into oblivion, one, because people are spiteful, but two, like that's not the place. Like
It's not a place.
yeah, unless it is like a subreddit that is like specifically targeted at self-promotion. And then of course there's exceptions, but it's probably just going to be full of people all trying to self-promote to other people who are self-promoting,
Yeah.
which is like this circle jerk of like, well, what is this even doing?
Yeah.
So knowing like Twitter and other things seem to be more about having either, a dialogue with sort of a back and forth repartee, or you're actually just like, you're dropping a thing off, you're not planning to follow it back up. It's just like that dopamine hit. You're dropping a funny post and people are going to come check it out. But there are places where you don't want to be advertising, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. It's
Something
interesting. Sorry, you go ahead, Pidge.
Oh yeah, it was again just adding a few things on here. Instagram's got this really cool feature where it serves up a kind of curated post for you, and it'll say you recently liked X amount of posts with this in the tagline. And I think
Yes.
that's something that gets overlooked. Like it's like you said, Grog, like a few hashtags, not a pure copy paste of your same old hashtags. A couple of
Yeah.
unique hashtags go a long way on Instagram, and that person could end up, whoever's consuming that content could see your post come up more regularly, and that could lead to a follow, and that could lead to more likes. And again, that's when they get filtered through into your streams, your YouTube channel.
Yeah, yeah. You have to be tactful, like you said, because like Instagram, it actually makes a lot of sense. Hashtags are powerful because the service itself is then promoting you without you having to do anything, whereas Twitter doesn't do that. Hashtags are there purely for search capacity. So it's like
Yes.
if you want to search, like you have to kind of know what the purpose of the hashtag for the platform even is. For Twitter, it's bad because it's like, well, if I want to look up, like hurricane crisis, and there's a hurricane that just happened, like I can type that in and I can see everything that's attached to it, but it's voluntary. Like that's why they're
You need to be
suggested on the
wary.
side. Yeah, because you have to be wanting it already and searching it out, which at that point, even if it doesn't have a hashtag, chances are the algorithms is going to be smart enough to be able to pick it up anyway. But Instagram, like you said, because it's doing the work for you and just pushing it in your direction, yeah, you got to know your environment. But yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
Instagram is a good place to do it.
It's a good point.
I
I think things that are very heavily driven by algorithms, absolutely. Like again, to come back to TikTok, I've experimented with some posts with no hashtags whatsoever, and then some posts with like obscene amounts of hashtags to see which is going to get picked up. And honestly, I find it very hard to tell because I'll see posts that come up on my For You page that have got, millions of likes and like literally nothing in the hashtag, nothing in the description, it's just a video, and it got picked up by the algorithm. And then there's times where, something's got a specific hashtag that I've found because, okay, I like the hashtag Destiny 2. So that clip's then been thrown to me because I like that hashtag, or I've liked videos with that hashtag before. What you're saying, like with Twitter, there is a mindset of it does look almost kind of thirsty in a way, like, when you're doing hashtag streamer retweets, hashtag support small streamers, all this stuff, and it's like you have to look at it as who's searching that hashtag, right? Who's searching support small streamers? I'm sure there's maybe some people, but probably not a lot, right? And it's particularly with Twitter, if I see a going live post where they're adding all these retweet bots and they're hashtagging everything, it's like it's fake engagement. You know, at best, you've got, okay, this bot's got 100,000 followers, but all it does is just retweet. People aren't clicking it. You know, the people are not going to be going and checking that out. Hashtags for me, it's like, if it's relevant, I'll maybe throw one in there. If I'm playing a new game, you know, like when Death Stranding came out, I can be like, oh, I'm going live with hashtag Death Stranding. It makes sense. People might be searching that because they want to see information about the game, so it makes sense to tweet to do it then. But there is no point in doing a hashtag where you just have to think, is it likely that someone's going to search this, and are they doing that for the right reason? And if not, then just don't put it in your tweet, because it does look bad. And if I see someone that's doing all that, I am not clicking that tweet. I'm not following that person, because it's like you just, they've put no thought into it, right? It's lazy almost is how it comes across. But like you said, on the inverse of that, these platforms that have an algorithm that are more likely to serve you content, hashtags can be valuable. But again, I think it's using them in context where it's relevant and it makes sense and you're not abusing it, right? A lot of really good points there, honestly. And yeah, just don't use too many hashtags. Like, please don't do that.
I will say, although YouTube isn't exactly like a social, it is a media platform, but it's not necessarily a social media platform in the same way that these others are. Use as many tags as possible. Like, use as many tags as like, you should be tagging, like, not just like junk tags, but things will get found because their algorithm is so good that you should be tagging, like, you know, like PvP and, you know, like raid, and, you know, like if you're in a like notable stream team or a clan or something, like you should be tagging all that stuff, because like all of those things are behind the scenes that like no one ever goes to the bottom of a YouTube video and like goes deeper to see like, oh, I wonder if Fallout Plays put like what hashtags he put in. It's like, no one's checking that, but the system is, and the system is like really good at serving up content to people. So if there's a strong automated form of moderation for delivering content to you, then I think sometimes those things can really pay dividends. And sometimes, yeah, you can have videos that like really pop off without even trying, just because you came up with a clever title and you came up with like clever tags that went with it. I think the tags should not be part of your message. I guess that's like, for me, like that's the fundamental takeaway. Like, what you're trying to say to people should be what you're trying to say. Your hashtag is not part of the body of your content.
Yeah.
Like, because like on Instagram, the picture is what they see first, the text is tertiary, and then like the hashtag is maybe glanced over. But like in Twitter, it's all about the text. Even when there's a GIF attached or there's a photo attached or a video attached, it's still 140 plus characters of like text. So at the end of the day, that hashtag should supplement your content. It shouldn't be your content.
Agreed, 100%. Do you have any final sort of thoughts on this, or do we want to move on? We know we don't have too much time left, but I'd like to briefly talk about our other kind of topic for today, if anyone's got anything else.
Valorant.
I did have one thing just to add in all that, and it was, again, this is like something I've learned, but see that kind of omnipresence thing, like that comes once you've focused on each of your platforms. Like, trying to do everything at once, I definitely don't recommend. You should definitely build each sort of part of your network up first, see what works as well, obviously, and then from that, it goes into your omnipresence with what you're about, where you found your right communities.
Yeah, that's solid. Absolutely. Cool. Well, the other thing I wanted to get into, probably quite briefly, I don't want to dive too deep. I mean, I'm certainly not an expert on this topic, but what's been happening on Twitch the past week and a half, 2 weeks roughly, which is the current beta for Valorant, which is Riot's new shooter game. It is like, I guess, CSGO, but with abilities and champions or characters, and it is popping off on Twitch. There is Yeah, it's crazy. So I'm just looking right now. Just the top channel I follow is XQC, and he currently has 188,000 viewers, which I don't know how familiar all you guys are with XQC, but that's a big increase on his sort of average viewership. Who wants to explain why viewership is so high right now?
I've waited 7 days and nothing.
Nothing.
I got
Unlucky.
mine last night. I just installed it
Nada.
while we were talking.
So
For folks that don't know the game, right now, like it's in a private beta. Well, it's a private slash public, like it's invite only. So you can only get an invitation to the beta if you've linked your Twitch account with the Riot Games, your Riot Games info, and watch a stream where drops are enabled. So if you could watch people stream the game, but if drops aren't enabled, you're not going to potentially get an invite code. And it's just down to dumb luck. I mean, maybe there's other stuff behind the scenes. There's no way to know if they prioritize people who are already affiliates over people who are partners over people who are just like prime members versus like the casuals that are just have an account. There's no way to know that. And it's also like Riot has said that they're going to put out, I think, 250,000 codes or keys, but that they made an announcement that they are recalling some keys that are being sold. If they can figure out that it's been sold or will be sold or is advertised to be sold, they're actually taking those keys back. So it's like it's a little unclear how the distribution is happening, other than people are just sitting there with the stream open and their fingers crossed. And there's that, like funny little things where people don't even realize what could be hurting them, where apparently you don't count as a viewer on Twitch if you have a chat muted, or not a chat, but like a stream muted. You could mute a tab and not have audio coming in from the tab in your browser. But if you say, "Oh, I'm going to leave a tab open for you," and you just mute the channel, you don't count as a viewer on Twitch. And so you're taking yourself out of the pool for drops as a result. Which there's all this like no one has stated that explicitly. I mean, the information is out there, but like Twitch doesn't go trumpeting this news.
Yeah.
So there's no way to know. And like oh my god, I was on Giggs' stream just to check in, and people were so fucking toxic. They were just talking shit on him, and just like he was like chat, like, what do you think? Like I mean, I don't know, this map seems really like geared towards like playing the B location. And one person was like, how the fuck should I know? I don't even have the game. You're asking us for our input? It's just like, whoa.
Wow.
I mean, it's people are heated over wanting it
Yeah.
and can't get it. And I think the exclusivity of it right now is what's really driving the demand more than anything.
I heard you just have to go in and type !key or !drops, and that gives you an extra 5% chance of getting one. That's why I heard.
Streamers love it.
I don't know.
Streamers love it.
I was lucky enough to get my drop. I've heard things. The official Twitch Help Twitter account did say that you don't have to have 20 tabs open. As long as you're watching one stream, then that is as good as watching 10 streams. They're all, your chances are the same either way, is what I've heard. Apparently, I'm told you only need to watch for like 2 hours a day, and you're in the pool. When I got my drop, so I had been streaming, and I had, I think, 3 or 4 Valorant streams open in the background while I was live, and I didn't get a drop, and I was like, okay, fine, whatever. And at the end of the day, I shut everything down, went to bed, and maybe an hour later, I got an email saying I had a drop. And I wasn't even watching a stream live. So I was kind of like, oh, I don't know what's happening here. Maybe I should just keep quiet about this. But apparently that's the thing. If you're watching for a certain amount of time, then you're in the pool for some period. I don't really know.
You're in the running.
It's a decent period because I haven't watched any of them in about 2 days, and I got mine last night.
See,
So,
there you go.
I was a little thrown off. I was like, it's not going to happen. Okay.
Yeah.
Bam.
It's a little weird. We found out the game is region locked though. So like I have an EU account and I tried to play with an American friend. We couldn't play together. And obviously it's not as simple as just, go and make an EU account, because then they won't have the game on that account. So it's all a bit of a nightmare with people trying to get these keys. But I guess what I want to get into is the power of Twitch drops. right now, and this is something that has happened before. I know that I think it was it Warframe had drops on for a long time, where if you were like a Warframe partner, there was a chance that you could get loot in game by watching a streamer. And I know that the Warframe directory kind of blew up for a while because of that. But what we're seeing now with Valorant is on a different level. You know, the other day I opened up the directory and there was something like 1.5 million viewers watching Valorant on Twitch. It's insane. I mean, people are doing numbers. I watched Summit1G, who had 260,000 viewers, which is like, you know, you don't see that on a single stream since Ninja left. You know, that's big numbers. Now, obviously, a lot of it is down to the drops. Do you guys think that we'll continue to see these numbers when the drops stop? Will they go back to normal? Will they be slightly higher? I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on it?
I think there will be a pretty significant drop.
Yeah.
Definitely a drop.
Yeah.
When there's I mean, people will watch just to watch because like, let's say tomorrow or next week they were just like, all right, all the keys have been given out, we don't have a release date yet, but those who do have it can play the beta for X number of months until we close it down. Viewership is going to fall off a cliff, but people will still watch because one, I mean, if that's their only outlet for a game they're really excited about, people will tune in, if only to, you know, look at what kind of builds, you know, top streamers are putting together. People are going to be if that's their only way to learn how a map works, or learn how like a good team coordinates, or just it's what they like. I mean, people will watch just for fun, but it will fall off a cliff. And I think right now it's like, because there is something on the line and there's no telling if you're going to get it. I mean, it's basically what a casino is, right? Like, you go in with the prospect of winning money and you don't know how long it's going to take for you to win money, so you're just going to stick around until it happens, and that's how people wind up frustrated. And, you know, they won't be broke in this case, but I mean, maybe they'll just be like, have wasted a lot of time for a thing that they just aren't destined to get. And it's not going to be their fault. It's just going to be, there's only so many keys to go around, or they just had bad luck. I think what I'd be interested to know, and there's no way to ever know this, but I would love to have a behind the scenes look at why Riot chose Twitch over Mixer, why they chose Twitch at present as their only means for this beta access, what streamers they chose up front and why, and just like kind of what some of the what streamers who are big, like, I noticed that some of them, when they're streaming, have drops enabled, and then they don't have drops enabled. So like, how is that getting passed around? Because like, surely the people who have drops enabled are going to get the lion's share of viewership, which translates to just money in their pocket. I mean, they're getting a cut of all the pre-roll ads, they're getting a cut of everyone that's, I mean, even if they don't get a single follow or a sub off of it, they're just getting ad content. So you figure there's decisions that are happening behind the scenes where people, be it Riot or Twitch, have decided who will be making the money and how and when and for how long. And I'm sure people will still tune in to watch those big streamers because it's just big right now, even if the drops are off. But like, that's just, I don't know. These are questions that like intrigue me, because like, there's a lot of money being had right now. Like, Amazon and Twitch by proxy or Twitch and Amazon by proxy are making boatloads of cash when they have these kinds of events. I think we actually will probably see more of them in the future, depending on how this all pans out. And if it was really worth it to them, you may see more drop enabled betas down the pike. You know,
it's I think win-win all around at the moment, because like you say, these big streamers are getting this insane amount of exposure, and you know, I agree, yeah, once drops go off, there'll probably be a fall off in viewership. But I mean, I've still seen some of these top streamers with huge numbers even when drops aren't on, you know. And admittedly, a lot of the chat is just going drops, right? Because they still think maybe they can get one. But even with the drops off, huge numbers right now, because obviously there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of popularity. I have a feeling when it comes down to the Mixer versus Twitch argument, obviously we know Twitch has got the lion's share in terms of viewership and hours watched. compared to the likes of Mixer, which makes me think if I was Riot, that would be an easy decision to go, well, where are most of the viewers at already right now? Plus, they've got these big names like, you know, these ex Counter-Strike people like Summit, you know, ex Overwatch players like XQC, you know, these pro players that can probably showcase the game in a really good way. Admittedly, yeah, Mixer's got like the likes of Shroud, but I don't know if we'd be seeing 250,000 people in one stream if it was Mixer. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that Mixer would have had to put up a lot of money to secure that deal if that was a deal they wanted to do. To me, it seems like, well, this is kind of an obvious, it's like a no-brainer in a sense. It is interesting you bring up the point about, you know, them controlling maybe which streamers are getting that exposure. I mean, I saw Summit specifically. He was on for 18.5 hours the other day straight, you know, doing that stream, because obviously he knows now is the time to grind and get these people, and there are
Good business.
yeah, and you know what, regardless of, people can say, well, yeah, there's a lot of like bots or people that are just farming keys, but there's still going to be a lot of people that are exposed to that streamer that are going to turn around and go, well, I like this, I like it here, I'm going to stick around. Because you don't have 250,000 people in a stream and not have some significant growth that way as well.
Or at least retain the name. I mean, they'll remember it. You know what I
At the
mean? Like
very
if you've spent 2+ hours waiting in a stream, you're gonna remember the streamer's name.
For
Like
sure.
you
Absolutely.
can't not. And like, you know, on top of that, you've got their stingers and their own branding, and like, you know, their pop-ups and their alerts, and then they go raid somebody. Like, you know, I was checking out I was checking out gigs at one point, and he was just like, somebody's like, oh man, you're doing really well today. He's like, yeah, well, Dr. Lupo came through and like dropped me like a huge raid. Like, it's also a way for them to kind of rep each other too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A lot of money is being made right now. I wonder, like, with Shroud and Ninja going to Mixer, and you know, Twitch clapping back and being like, all right, well, we're keeping Lupo, we're keeping Tim the Tatman, like, you know, and it being like, well, if the competition's doing this, we're going to do that too. Will we see that happen with Mixer in the future, where you have like private betas going through them?
Mm.
You know, I mean, I can't. Maybe I'm wrong, but like, has there been an equivalency in terms of a big game where there's been this much hype and there's been this type of distribution to early access as this through Twitch, or through any, I guess, broadcast service? But like, I can't think of anything.
I know there's been Twitch drops in the past, like that's a thing, and I think I know of the Warzone Warframe one specifically, where it was just like loot in game, and I have family members that play a lot of Warframe that, you know, that don't normally watch Twitch particularly, and they were watching streams to try and get that loot in game. I think that's a proven what's the word I'm looking for? It's a proven method, right? Twitch probably have all this data to say, okay, so this game enabled drops for this item or whatever, and here's the bump in their viewership, here was the bump in their game sales or their player base or whatever, right? I think Twitch probably have that data to be able to say this works, right? And clearly it works. And you know, everybody's winning right now. I mean, obviously, I think if you're a streamer that doesn't play Valorant, you're maybe not winning right now. You know, because there's just so much hype around it, and people are gravitating to these huge streams. What I would love to know, and we'll probably never know, right? But I would be fascinated to know if over the past few months, there's been a lot of streamers changing platforms, and you might have seen the Doc's announcement video recently where he announced he's staying on Twitch, and he had the big over-the-top video where he's jumping out of a plane, and you know, classic Doc style. I would love to know if Twitch said that when they were in their negotiations with these streamers, going, hey, you could move to Mixer, here's our deal, but also we have this thing coming with Riot, which could, you know, we'll make sure you get drops. Because as a you know, if you're Tim the Tatman or you're Summit and you're thinking about moving platforms, this is huge. You know, if this game blows up the same way Fortnite did, which I don't know if it will, because it's obviously not the same game as Fortnite, but there could be a ninja effect, right, where a streamer does get this hype and this just blows up. You know, certainly the numbers we're seeing now are similar to the ninja glory days of Fortnite, right? So I'm very curious if Twitch kind of leveraged this to say, hey, maybe stay on our platform because we got these kind of things coming. And I would love to see other companies do similar things in future with this as well.
I mean, I'd be curious to hear from Pigeon or Kibbles or anyone really, like, what could be the negative repercussions of this kind of rollout. Like, I mean, you figure you have it's a public but closed beta, but like it's not about getting a pre-order. Like traditionally, like that's been one method. You pre-order the game, you get to play it a couple weeks early. That's a thing. Now it's like it's being done almost through a lottery. Clearly a lot of money is being made by a second party, separate from the publisher. Like, and some people aren't going to get keys. At least if you pre-ordered, say like some old Battlefront game, like you got to play it like 3 weeks before everyone else. Like,
Yeah.
I guess I'd be curious to see, like, how could this break bad, or like how might this sour the experience for people who don't wind up with that key.
See, that's exactly where it lies. I think the exclusivity of the drops is partial to the viewership and the excitement, but once the game actually launches, like people are going to be out there playing it on their own. They're not necessarily going to be watching streams for that launch period, unless obviously they don't have a copy, which is for me one of the reasons you watch someone play these games. I've seen a bit of controversy already with people doing like rerolls of their game sessions with the drops on, which is literally like
Yeah.
playing it, just doing a play, but like more obviously it's like a unwritten rule, don't do that shit. But some people have commented on people that have done reruns with the drops on their streams. So that's kind of controversial to the current situation as well.
True. I mean, I think definitely the one of the downsides I could see would be if you are that person that's watched 72 hours of Valorant and you haven't got a key yet. When you get that key, do you still want to play the game?
Yeah.
You've seen it, every way possible at that point. Are you going to be burnt out on it? Are you still going to want to jump in and play? I think it's probably possible to burn out just from watching the game and kind of seeing all you need to see. But I really have to, take the hat off to Riot. I think it's genius marketing what they're doing, right? They're building so much hype because I do feel like eventually, sooner or later, everyone's going to get into it. And this way, everyone's talking about it, right? Like that's just, I'm messaging friends being like, did you get a drop yet? No, I did. And like, trying to set up game sessions, and it's exciting right now. But speaking as someone who was lucky enough to get a key early, I really do think in this case, for pretty much all parties involved, the positive outweighs the negative for me. But I mean, that's just my point of view. It's good. There's nothing else I can say, I'll be very curious.
You're allowed to say it, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't want to rub it into anyone that doesn't have a key, I feel bad, but I am very curious to see what's going to happen when when the game's out in the wild properly, when the drops are no longer a thing. I do think there'll be a bump in viewership, at least for a while. Certainly, there's going to be big tournaments. There's going to be all sorts of exciting things happening, and I just hope the hype continues. I really do.
Yeah, it all just kind of depends on how Riot handles it from here on.
Yeah,
because they could drop the ball hard, or it could be the next big thing on Twitch and just stay like that, the next undying machine.
I think it would be very nice to have a game so huge that's not a battle royale again. Mm-hmm. I feel like we are maybe starting to get out of the sort of battle royale days, but who's to know what's going to be the next big genre. But it's cool to see a game that feels like an old school game getting so much hype. That's just my thoughts. Anyone got anything else, or are we? I think we're kind of getting near the end of the show here.
I just hope that it maybe encourages Twitch to explore drops for more titles beyond just sort of like the core big AAA games. Obviously, it requires coordination and partnership with the developer, and the developer has to maybe even create additional content that can be given away as a drop. But like right now, I'm pretty invested in Twitch. I have like a fair number of subs to channels that I want to support. I'm on it all the time, but like I don't need a Twitch Prime because like I just I pay for subs already. So like, but right now the only kind of freebie reward is really just for Twitch Prime people. And like drops are a thing that kind of levels and economizes the playing field for everybody. If you like a game and the developer and Twitch have agreed that drops are going to be possible, then this same kind of like you win, I win, the viewers win, and everyone's happy and people are making money off of it. Like if that can work for this, I'd be interested to see if it'll work for things beyond just pure ad promotion for like new content that's being rolled out, and see it more through things like, as you mentioned, Warframe, dropping gear for people that are just watching those streams. Because right now it's like Bungie hype, like, oh, we've got all this like stuff that's coming to Twitch, and it's like, well, I don't have Prime.
But
I'm not
even if
getting
you
any of
do,
that.
if you're a player, you've got most of this stuff already, right?
Right.
The
But
Prime
I mean,
stuff
if it
for
wasn't,
Bungie
if
doesn't.
if there was like a rarity,
Yes,
like,
yeah. It would be cool to have drops enabled Bungie streams. To say, well,
tokens.
You've got a chance to get
Have
tokens, an exotic engram if you're really lucky, like something like that.
Yeah.
It might not affect the hardcore that are playing all the time and have all this gear already, but like, I didn't see any bump in the directory when the Prime. Maybe you guys did, I don't know, but the whole Prime rewards for Destiny, I don't. I feel like it fell flat.
Can you imagine though if there were like ascendant shards or like
Golf balls?
yeah, or the golf balls, like as a drop, like people would be fucking tuning in.
Yeah.
Like just for the chance of getting, because it's like rarity has got to be part of it. You have to have rarity.
Yeah.
If it's just like, oh, you can get like a free shirt in PUBG and it's like a brown polo, people are like, the fuck do I want that for? You know what I mean?
Like Overwatch does this thing where it'll be, you watch, and they hammer it out specifically. You watch 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, and you get this drop, this drop, this drop, and it's spray, and then a skin is what they usually do. And there will be big bumps. And the really nice thing is it's not just for partners for that, which I didn't know until someone came in my stream one day and they said, "Why don't you have drops enabled?" And I go, "I can't. What? I can't do that." And they go, "No, you just click here." It's like, holy shit, I can! I'm putting that in my title.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we'll definitely see more.
I think obviously this is, if they remove away from the whole ad side of things, like it could have so much potential for devs to get people to test their game and advertise their game. Well, I'm staying away from advertising. I mean, kind of let someone try it out and people get the interest like built through that,
Yeah.
and it could add to the creative process rather than just being a big like additive sort of thing for revenue streams.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like Riot planned this all along, right? This was kind of always the strategy. It doesn't, like you say, it doesn't feel like an add-on last minute, oh, let's do drops. It feels like it was meant this way. And I take your point. Like, if developers could be developing a game with this kind of thing in mind, it could be huge. Yeah. Alrighty, well, I think that is about it. We talked for a lot longer than I expected about just a couple of things. So we'll wrap up here. First of all, Grog, where can people find you on the internet? What you got coming up? Shout out everything.
People can find me on Twitter at gamer_grog. Because it wasn't taken at the time. You can find me on Twitch at just_grog, and also on YouTube at the same handle. Yeah, I stream 4 days a week now, with working from home and staying at home. Like, that's allowed me to kind of explore what streaming more looks like. Things are going well. I want to just kind of like do a little more content creation in the future, so I'm trying to work on my editing skills.
Nice. Awesome. Make sure and follow him. Kibbles, do the same.
All right, you can find me at the Mighty Kibbles on Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. I don't post on there very often, so probably don't follow me on there. But the other ones I'm active on, and then I guess Twitter is the Mighty Kibbles because Twitter and their length of usernames. Hey, I stream like 7 days a week. I might take a Saturday off here and there because, oh boy. But I'm a variety streamer. Stream a whole bunch of different things. I'm doing a whole lot of Warzone lately. So, yeah.
We still need to play Warzone together, man.
Yes, we do.
We need to play more. Cool. And Pijinnn, our special guest, where can people find you? Shout yourself out. Plug anything you
Yeah,
want to plug.
well, obviously we spoke about Twitter, so first port of call was my Twitter, Pijinnn, spelled in an exotic manner, Pijinnn with an underscore. Twitch, you'll find me at /Pijinnn again. Been playing Destiny, Final Fantasy, and in the coming weeks I actually have a PC coming in, my first PC.
Yeah.
Nice.
We're going full scale upgrades, so should be good.
That's awesome. I saw those specs. They look nice, man. Yeah, did you not?
It's a dream.
Did
Honestly.
I imagine? I feel like you tweeted out a picture of all the parts.
I didn't post the processor.
Oh, looks so good.
Were you
man.
worried about the processor? Yeah. People were going, where's your processor? I was like, oh, it's in a blue box behind it all.
I didn't notice. To be fair, I'm not much of a computer guy, but no, that's exciting, man. Definitely hit me up once that's all built, and we'll play some games.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Link for all these people, by the way, is in the chat. My name's Condyfly. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter. Twitter has an extra Y because they banned me. But I found a way around it, you know. And YouTube. I'm kind of the same, streaming at the moment 7 days a week because of quarantine and nothing else to do. But the most important thing is that you follow the podcast on Twitter. It is at Zero Strategy Pod. If you're listening on Spotify or you're watching us on YouTube, consider coming by the live stream, twitch.tv/Zero Strategy Podcast. You can come and ask us questions live and hang out and talk to the wonderful people in the community. Thank you all very, very much for watching. And we are going to go and raid somebody here. So please feel free to stick around for that. Thank you very much for your time. And we will see you guys next time. Take it easy.
Cheers, guys.